In the last class we have deal with otherwise we have discussed what is tariff, what are the objectives of tariff, and what are the desirable characteristics of a tariff. In this video we will see what are the different tariff methods or different types of tariffs. There are 7 different types of tariffs that we are going to discuss. The first one is a simple tariff, second one is a flat rate tariff, third one is a blocked rate tariff, fourth one is 2-part tariff, fifth one is 3-part tariff, sixth one is maximum demand tariff, and seventh one is power factor tariff. Now let's see one by one in detail. Simple tariff. What is meant by this simple tariff? Here a fixed rate per unit of energy consumed. That is, it is also called uniform rate tariff. So here the price per unit is constant, which means if I consume 100 units, they will mention that the cost of 1 unit is 5 rupees. So 100 into 5 will be 500 rupees. If I consume 1 lakh units, 1 lakh into 5 rupees will be 5 lakh rupees. So it does not vary with increase or decrease in the number of units consumed. So it is very simple of all the tariffs and is readily understood by the consumers. But what are the drawbacks of this tariff? There is no discretion between different types of consumers, because every consumer are charging at a uniform rate. If I consume more, obviously I need to be charged at a lesser price. If I consume less, I need to be charged at a more price, but it is not happening there. The cost per unit delivered is high in this case. It is what is called a simple tariff. Next one is a flat rate tariff. The second type of tariff. Here in this type of tariff, the consumers are grouped into different classes, and each class of consumers is charged at a different uniform rates. Here the categorization of classes will be based on the diversity factors and load factors. So depending upon them, they have divided these consumers into different types. Say example, 2 types. One is a lighting load as well as a power load. So for instance, the flat rate per kilowatt hour of lighting load may be 60 paise, whereas it is slightly less for the power load, which may be around 55 paise per kilowatt hour. If in my home there is I consume, now my home consists of 2 types of load. One is a lighting load, other one is a motor load or power load. What is the lighting load? All the lamps in our home will be the lighting load. And what about the motor load or the power load? The motors, the grinders, the mixies, the fridge, AC, all consist of motors, and all these called as the motor load or power load. And I need to have 2 different meters here. One for measuring the lighting load and the other meter for measuring the motor load. If I consume some 100 units of lighting load and 100 units of power load, then 100 into 60 paise, that will be 60 rupees, as well as 100 into 55 paise, which will be 55 rupees. So 60 plus 55, which will be 115 units. It is how they will be charged, right? And the advantage is it is fair to different types of consumers and is quite simple in calculation. What about the drawbacks? Separate meters are required for lighting load and power load. This makes this application of such a tariff expensive and complicated because 2 meters are involved, right? And even in this case also, whether if you consume more units or less units, the cost per unit for lighting load is constant. The cost per unit per power load is also constant. So because if they are consuming more, we are not giving at a lower price, as when they are consuming less, we are not giving them at a higher price. It's a drawback. The third one is a block rate tariff, which is generally used. Here the total electrical energy consumption is divided into separate blocks, and the first block is charged at a very high rate, and the remaining succeeding blocks will be charged at a decreased rate. And say for example, the first 100 units may be charged at 3 rupees per unit. The next 100 units, that is from 101 to 200 units, will be charged at 2 rupees per unit, and anything more than 200 will be charged at 1 rupee per unit. It's an example. So I consumed 500 units. Then how it will be charged? For first 100 units, 3 rupees. So 100 into 3 will be 300. Next 100 from 101 to 200. How many units again? Again 100 units. So 101 to 200 is 100 units again. So 100 units I have to charge at 2 rupees. So 200. So first 100 units 300. Next 100 units 200. Right, 500. And next 300 units more than 200, right? Anything more than 200 will be charged at 1 rupee each. From 300 to 500 I will be having 300 units, and these 300 units will be charged at 1 rupee per unit, so it will be 300. So 300 plus 200 plus 300, which will be 800 rupees. It is my monthly bill according to this block rate tariff. What are the advantages? In this, the consumer gets an incentive to consume more electrical energy as usual. As this is a very important tariff, this increases the load factor of the system, and hence the cost of generating the electricity is reduced. But what is the drawback? Lack of measure of the consumer demand. We cannot guess how much the consumer can use it, right? Because we are giving it the last block at a relatively cheaper price, and consumer may consume more amount of energy than the required energy. And the other drawback is it is useful only for the residential and commercial consumers. It is not applicable for industrial consumers. The fourth one is a two-part tariff. Here the total charges are divided into two types. One is a fixed charges, another one is a running charges. Fixed charges are based upon the kVA, kilowatt of maximum demand. Kilowatt maximum demand, whereas the running charges are based upon the number of units consumed by the consumer. Same. Total charges is nothing but B into kilowatt plus C into kilowatt hour. What is that B? B is nothing but the cost per kilowatt of maximum demand, and C is nothing but cost per kilowatt hour of energy consumed. Say my maximum demand, I have a maximum demand. I'm running a company, and my maximum demand is 100 kilowatt. For 100 kilowatt, the cost per kilowatt is 2 rupees. That is B is 2 rupees. That is cost per kilowatt is 2 rupees. And I am having 100 kilowatt is my connected load or the maximum demand. So 2 into 100 will be 200 rupees. This is fixed charges. Now what about the running charges? I have consumed some 100 units, and each unit will be charged at 3 rupees each. So 3 into 100 will be 300. So 200 plus 300 will be 500. The drawback of this system is, even though you don't consume anything, that means even though the number of units consumed by you is 0, that month you didn't open your industry, thereby the number of units consumed is 0. Therefore C will become 0, C will be 3, and KWH is 0. But maximum demand charges have to be paid by you. That is 100 kilowatt is your maximum demand and 2 rupees B. So 200 rupees you have to pay. Whether you consume the power or not, you have to pay that 200 rupees. It is the drawback of this system. But it is used only for the industrial consumers where the maximum demand is appreciable. Otherwise, the maximum demand in case of a normal consumer is around 5 kilowatt. For a home, it will be around 5 kilowatt. So there is no use in that. But for the industry, it will be around megawatts. 100 kilowatts or 200 kilowatts. So that's why it will be useful for the industrial consumers. What are the advantages? It is easily understood by the consumers. So it is easily understood by the consumers. Just the basic advantage is that. But what about the drawbacks? The drawback is the consumers have to pay the fixed charges irrespective of the fact that whether he has consumed or not consumed the energy, which we already discussed. Even though you close the industry for a month, you need to pay the fixed charges. That is a drawback. And one more thing is maximum demand of a consumer. It is very difficult to assess. We don't have any meter to assess the maximum demand of an individual industry. So because of lack of meters, we don't have to properly find out the maximum demand of that particular industry. It's a drawback. Next one is a 3-part tariff. Here in this 3-part tariff, the total charges are divided into 3 types, 3 parts: fixed charges, semi-fixed charges, and running charges. Now in this case, the fixed charges are nothing but the A, and semi-fixed charges are nothing but B, signifies B, and running charges signifies C. A is the fixed charges made during each billing period. and these fixed charges include interest and depreciation on the cost of secondary distribution and labor cost of collecting the revenues. So what is the fixed charge here? The secondary distribution transformer, they have purchased it, and they will put they have to take the amount from the bank as a loan to purchase that. So they have to pay interest on it. That interest we have to consider here. And depreciation means every year the cost of the equipment will decrease, and after the efficient life of that device, we need to again purchase that device. So that amount also we need to charge from the consumers. That is what is called depreciation. And B is the charge per kilowatt of maximum demand, kV, kW, and C is nothing but the charge per kilowatt hour of energy consumed. It is the three-part tariff is only applicable to very, very big scale industries. Now sixth one is maximum demand tariff. It is similar to two-part tariff. The only drawback in the two-part tariff is that there is a problem that there is no meter installed in the consumer premises to find out the maximum demand of a industry. But here in this case, we will install a maximum demand meter in the industry. We will clearly get the maximum demand. So total charges will be equivalent to A into B into kilowatt plus C into kilowatt hour. It is the thing. But it is applicable only to big consumers. It is not applicable for residential and commercial consumers, because separate maximum demand meter is required, which is not bearable by the normal consumers. It is only taken up by the industrial consumers. The last one is a power factor tariff. As I already discussed about the power factor, what is a power factor? As an example, you can see the leftmost diagram. In that, I have taken a glass and I have filled it with some cool drink. So when I am filling the glass with a cool drink, I will get a froth at the beginning, at the beginning of the glass. Signifies that that froth is nothing but a reactive power, and actual cool drink is nothing but a real power. That cool drink or the real power is nothing but the working electricity, whereas that froth is nothing but the wasted electricity. In electrical terminology, that the working electricity is called as kilowatt P, whereas the reactive power or the active power P, whereas the wasted electricity is termed as Q, or reactive power kVAR, Q. Therefore, S is equal to square root of P square plus Q square. S is given in terms of kVA. So kVA equal to square root of kilowatt square plus kVAR square. If there is a more power factor means, high power factor means less reactive power. More reactive power means high power factor means less reactive power. When there is a less reactive power, it is advantageous to the system. If there is a low reactive power means more amount of Q, that is reactive power. Low power factor means more reactive power. More reactive power means it is not useful to it is not a useful power. Right. So the power factor of a consumer's load is taken into consideration while calculating this tariff. A low power factor increases the rating of the power plant and line losses. Right. A low power factor increases the rating of the power station. So because as low power factor is there, Q is more and P is less. Therefore, to give the same amount of P, the power plant capacity has to be increased. So the consumer who is having a low power factor have to be penalized. That is, have to be fined. It is how the power factor tariff will takes into consideration. It is also industrial tariff. Now you can see the power triangle. There is a power triangle. It's a power triangle which you already seen it. On the real axis you will get a P. On the imaginary axis you will get a Q. And there is a hypotenuse. Yes, which is kVA. So S is equal to square root of P square plus Q square. There are two important things from it we need to understand. We know that the first thing is P is the active power or true power equal to VI cos phi or cos theta. Therefore cos theta is equal to P by VI. VI is what? kVA. VI means yes, that is kVA. Therefore cos theta is power factor. Power factor is equal to kilowatt by kVA. That is, power factor is inversely proportional to kVA. As kVA is more, the power factor is less. Right. As kVA is more, cos theta is more. Cos theta decreases and thereby power factor decreases. Right. It is the first thing. That is, power factor is inversely proportional to kVA. Therefore, if I use Low power factor means high kVA and high power factor means low kVA. And second important thing we need to discuss is tan theta is equal, take a tan theta here. In this right angle triangle, apply tan theta. Tan theta is equal to opposite side by adjacent side, that is Q by P. Therefore tan theta is equal to Q by P. P is constant. Therefore as Q increases, as the kVA, there is a low, as Q increases, what happens? Tan theta increases, because both are directly proportional. Right, Q is directly proportional to tan theta. As Q increases, tan theta increases. As tan theta increases, because tan theta is a increasing function, theta also increases. As theta increases, what happens to cos theta? Decreases. Cos theta means power factor decreases. Therefore as Q increases, the power factor will decrease, as already mentioned here. If it is a low power factor, Q will be more. If it is a high power factor, Q will be less. Right. So these are the two things. Now there are three different types of power factor tariff methods. First one is a kVA maximum demand tariff. It is similar to that of a two-part tariff. What is the two-part tariff? We have B into kilowatt plus C into kilowatt hour. In place of kilowatt, we have kept the kVA. Therefore B is the B into kVA plus C into kilowatt hour. So B is the charge per kVA of maximum demand and C is the charge per kilowatt hour of energy consumed. Why? Because I have taken kVA here. As I already told you, P is equal to VI cos phi. VI is nothing but apparent power S cos phi and S is equal to P by cos phi. Which means as power factor is less, S is more. If I am maintaining a low power factor, obviously my kVA is more. When my kVA is more, I am paying more amount of charges. For example, if a power factor is 0.9, my kVA is 20 kVA. If power factor is 0.8, my kVA will increases to 30 kVA. Now B is the charge per kVA is 2 rupees. Say for example, if my power factor is 0.9, my kVA is 20. So 20 into 2, 40 rupees. If my power factor is reduced to 0.8, then kVA is 30 kVA. So 2 into 30 will be 60. In the previous case, when power factor is 0.9, I am paying 40 rupees. Now if the power factor is decreased to 0.8, I am paying 60 rupees. So in this way, I am penalizing the low power factor of an industry. It is the first method. Second method is a sliding scale method, which is also called average power factor method. In this method, an average power factor, say 0.8 lagging, is taken as a reference. If any consumer is maintaining more than 0.8 power factor, he will be given an incentive in the power bill, a discount in the power bill. But if he is maintaining power factor less than the 0.8, then he have to pay extra amount. He will get a penalty. It is how the sliding scale tariff will work out. And the third one is kilowatt and kVAR tariff. So what is this kilowatt and kVAR tariff? Means B into kilowatt plus C into kVAR, where B is nothing but the charge per kilowatt and C is nothing but the charge per kVAR. As we have already discussed, tan theta is equal to Q by P and tan theta is proportional to Q. Therefore, as the power factor is more, if there is a low power factor, what is happening? Low power factor means more Q. More Q means more kVAR. And more power factor means less Q. Less Q means less kVAR. The same thing. Kilowatt is constant. What about the kVAR? If I am using 0.9 power factor, the kVAR is 20 kVAR. Say for example, 20 kVAR. So C is 3 rupees. So 3 into 20, 60 rupees. But if if my power factor is reduced to 0.8, my kVAR increases to 40. Now 3 into 40 will be 120 rupees. Previous case, when my power factor is 0.9, I am paying only 60 rupees towards the kVAR. But if a power factor is 0.8, my QV is increasing and I am paying more towards the kVAR. In this way, I am penalizing the low power factor of the industry. So these are all the power factor tariffs. Thank you.